what's your background with swimming? Did you learn to swim as a kid at all, or is this just something you started as an adult?
Yeah. So originally, like, didn't learn to swim as a kid at all. No swim lessons, anything. And the interesting thing is, I recall growing up, I grew up mostly just south of Seattle in Washington State. And I had friends who would go to the lake during the summer, and I always wanted to go. And I think my parents were always told me no, but were really concerned because they were like, "Ah, you don't know how to swim, you might drown in the lake." But at no point did it click for them or for me to say, like, let's get swim lessons and then you can go to the lake. It was just like, don't go to the lake. So all throughout my childhood, no swim lessons, didn't do any major swimming. At some point in like my late teenage years to early adulthood, I came to believe I had the ability to like mimic breaststroke so that I could, like, if I fell into a pool, I could mimic that, and that would get me out of the pool, which maybe happened once or twice in life. And it wasn't until I took my first job after grad school, which was based in Southwest Georgia, and there just like wasn't a lot to do, wasn't a lot going on. So I found all sorts of ways to fill my time, that I stopped and thought, like, it's a little ridiculous that you don't know how to swim, and your best case scenario is maybe you fall into a pool and you mimic breaststroke and then you won't drown that way. So I actually signed up for an adult swim class. This was at the age of 25 at the YMCA in Southwest Georgia. And this adult swim class was taught by a teenager. And just like a bridge version of this story is, you know, I'm already pretty self-conscious as a 25-year-old going to this adult swim class. As it turns out, I was the only person who had signed up for that session of the adult swim class. So when I arrived, I check in at the front desk and say I'm there for the adult swim class, which is, you know, I had to get over a bit of my embarrassment to do that. And everybody, the person at the front desk, they called the manager over who was managing the facility. It was like, what are you talking about? There's no swim class, because they had internally canceled it because I was the only one to sign up. But nobody had told me or called me or communicated with me about it. So here I am in my swim trunks. I've got my flip-flops on, and I'm just like, it ends with me sitting in the facility manager's office, just like explaining, like, you know, everything I've shared with you so far. Like, no, I never took lessons as a kid. I don't know how to swim. I got up the courage to sign up. And so basically, after hearing my sob story, I think she felt bad enough for me and ended up, there was a lifeguard on duty who was a teenager. And she asked her whether she would be willing to just like start teaching the like 4-week series swim class, which would only be me. And I don't want to put too much on the young lady, but suffice it to say, she was nonplussed about the idea of teaching a swim class that day, and certainly not teaching me, which she made clear with her facial expressions in the office to her boss, with me sitting there just looking up at her. And she's like, "You're going to do it." So we head out, and it's like me and this young lady, and she's going to teach a swim class. And I get in the water, and she's asking me about my history of a swimmer, so she knows where to start. And I tell her all the things I've told you. And she says, "All right, well, you say you can mimic breaststroke. Like, show me what you can do." And at the same time, some of her friends from school were at the pool. And so she's sitting poolside talking to them. I start doing my mock breaststroke, and I have pretty decent upper body strength. Don't know any form other than I'm just doing this. And like, I've got my goggles on, I kind of put my head down and I'm going. And I finally just get to the point where I'm like, all right, I'm a bit tired. I feel like I've shown her enough what limited skill I have. So I stop, only to realize I've swam into the deep end. So I go to push my feet down, and I then can't touch the ground. And I look down and realize I'm in the deep end. I freak out. I start flailing and struggling. I can kind of see out of my blurry goggles with water splashing all over in front of me that I seem to have caught her attention, and I just start doing, I play out, I play out what the fear I'd had my whole life of like, well, you'll fall into a pool and you're going to have to use this mock breaststroke to get back to the shallow end. And I get back over to her, and she goes, "Is everything okay?" And I was like, "No, swim lesson's over for the day." And so that was my first swim lesson. And that just wasn't a good start for me trying to get comfortable in the water.